Until 1987, Israel killed 100,000 Palestinians since 1948. It's not about the PLO, because Israel took Israel in 1948. The PLO was created in 1964. These are all a result of what Israel has been doing.
Why do you mention Uganda? Because the British proposed that the Jews should move to Africa and Uganda. Pull up Uganda on a map, just so we're clear. What does that have to do with anything?
What I'm saying is before the Israeli were the Jews were transported to Palestine.
You know, right after that whole, World War II Holocaust genocide thing.
No, before.
Yeah.
Before.
During that time.
No, before. Okay. I'm talking about 1882.
Mm-hmm. When the Zionist movement started.
Exactly, 1882. Gotcha. At that time, there were only 3% of Jews living in Palestine. Mm-hmm. And they were like different. They said Argentina, they said Chile, Madagascar, South Africa, and Uganda. In 1903, the British government offered the Jewish people about 80,000 acres in Uganda. Mm-hmm. And they said no. And the reason that they said no, so there's what there was like a big, this is very interesting, there was a big conflict between the rabbis and the secular Jewish movement. So the rabbis said, like, we cannot go, the rabbis were the one who actually the objected, said, we cannot go to Palestine. It's like, what do you mean? It's the promised land. It's like, yes, it's the promised land when the real Jesus comes. So the secular said, well, maybe we should go to Palestine, and that will invite real Jesus to come. It was like a whole, by the way, this is all in Theodor Herzl memoirs. You can read about that. And even 1903, Theodor Herzl, in page 96, in the pamphlet for the Jewish state, he said, maybe the Jewish people should just get what they can. So what I'm saying is these were discussions at the end of the 19th century and the 20th century. And then there's like the movement that wanted to put the the Jewish people in Israel actually won, and it happened very, 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 very slowly. By 1914, there were about 7% of Jewish people in Palestine. Now, when the Balfour Declaration happened, the only one who rejected the Balfour Declaration of like putting Jews in Palestine was a Jewish British businessman in the parliament and said, like, those people are British people and we should not put them into another place. I'm just giving you the historical.
You're giving us the history. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I get it. But I doubt the Jews were like, yo, Uganda, let's do it. No, they wanted Israel. But what do you do at this point?
I'm sorry. I'll have to disagree with you, sir, because you have to understand, many of those Jews, they came from pogroms from Ukraine and from Russia. Yeah. And then when they went to London, they were really treated bad, and they were called the problem. The problem. We need the solution. We need the solution. And this is why when Hitler came to power, he said we need the final solution.
Of course.
So you understand, all of these problems happened between the Jews coming from Eastern Europe when they went to England and Western Europe. So basically, the British people didn't like them, and they want to push them off. So by the way, I mean, we can joke about that, but seriously, the whole thing about Madagascar, South Africa, Chile, and Argentina, and Uganda, these were real discussions with real budgets.
I'm very familiar with the Zionist movement. I get it.
And then at a certain time, so 1914, 7%, and then the Balfour Declaration, and then the First World War, nothing happened. Second World War, with the Nazis, were like killing everybody. Yeah. And then they started to go in mass in Palestine.
But are you sensing a common theme here? They go to a country, they have success, let's kill them. They go to a country, they have success, let's kill them. They started in Egypt, they went to Spain, they went to Morocco, they went to Europe, they went to pogroms in Russia. Can I speak? Can I speak?
This is not accurate.
Of course this is accurate.
Sir, this is not accurate.
What's not accurate of what I just said? The whole reason that I say that is that they've been running around the entire world.
Sir.
It's called the Jewish diaspora. I'm speaking. I'll let you speak. You could speak for a half hour. I'm asking you a 2-minute question. There's a Jewish diaspora. They're running all over the world. It culminates in the Bolshevik Revolution, Zionism. It starts Theodor Herzl. It ends in the final solution in Germany. The Jewish people said, listen, we just need a state. You look at the map of the Middle East. It's as big as this room. We have a little tiny microphone. And then we're fighting over the size of this microphone when you have the entire room right here. So tell me, what should Israel do now? Does Israel have a right to exist and defend itself, or no?
So can I answer? I'll answer.
Yeah, go ahead.
So first of all, certain things that you said in that monologue was a little bit inaccurate. Yes, they were treated badly in Europe. They were treated badly everywhere, and they were not treated badly in Spain because that was under the Arab rules.
Of course, they were. What do you mean? It was called the Spanish Inquisition.
Yes,
Look it up.
Yeah, sure. The Spanish Inquisitions was done by the Christians against Muslims and Jews together.
Okay.
Muslims and Jews were sitting
But
together.
it happened, is what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is, before the Spanish Inquisition, Jews lived in the courts as ministers and as poets and as scientists under the Arab rule in Andalusia. When the Spanish Inquisition came in, they killed both Jews and both Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, the Crusades, we all know how that story goes between Christians and Muslims for decades and centuries.
Do you understand that the first crusade did not kill a single Muslim?
Okay, but the third and the fourth and the fifth one did.
What happened with the first crusade?
Enlighten me.
The first crusade came out from England, and they killed 2,000 Jews in Europe. They didn't even make it to Jerusalem. This is how bad the Jews were treated by the Christian Europeans. And as a matter of fact, Jews did not find refuge unless they found it in the Arab countries. I'm not saying that they were perfect, but if you compared what the Jews were enduring in Ukraine and Russia and in Western Europe and how they lived in Baghdad and Egypt and Morocco, they were much better.
But this validates the whole point of why the Jews need Israel, because every country they go to, they're going to be run out of town or killed. At the very least, they have their own country, so they could say, at least we have safety here. Every country, every story that you just mentioned, Bassem, is them being killed by somebody, whether it's the Christians, whether it's the Brits, whether it's the Ukrainians, whether it's the Russians. The whole point of Israel is like, we can no longer just rely on other people's niceties and empathy to not be murdered.
Okay.
So now we need a state of our own. You understand that?
I understand. Let me continue.
Yes or no?
So all through these years, they were living peacefully, relatively under the Arab rule. And then what happened? The pogroms in Russia and Ukraine pushed them to England. Then England said, we cannot take them anymore, push them more to the Arabs. At the time, Jewish people in the Arab world, especially Egypt, were living. The first people who actually did the cinema and the theater were Jewish Egyptian people who lived there all their lives. Jews, Christians, and Muslims were living. Right now, the department store, like our version of Macy's and Target, they all have Jewish names because they have part of the fabric of the Egyptian society for decades, way before the Jews from Europe came. Now, when the Jews from Europe came, there's two ways to come. You can come easily, or you can come by force. They started to come with all of these ships, and then you have the Haganah, and you have all of the Zionist gangs who started to come into Palestine, and they were like 1.5 million Palestinians that you cannot erase. So the fact that this is the Arab world, you can go anywhere. No, because this is their country. So they went in, they replaced them, and then we had the 1948, and the rest is history. Now, having said that, do I want Israel to be erased and I want people to go back to Europe? I will never use that kind of argument unless that you tell me, well, why don't the Palestinians go to Arab countries? If you don't use that, I'm not going to use that. I believe that Israel is a matter of fact. And I think it's too late to come and erase or get people out, whatever. What we have to do, either a one-state solution that everybody, Palestinian and Israeli, have exactly the same equal right, and all of them have the same passport, and they live in peace. And the other reason is a two-state solution. Obviously, so far, Netanyahu and other Israeli officials have said many times there will never be a Palestinian state. Not in the West Bank, not in Gaza, ever. And these are official statements by them. So they have already said that. Sometimes people accuse Arabs, but we do not want the